Well, I'm just coming off the earthen dam on Lake Loop and approaching the Backcountry Trailhead, which is the trail we're going to be doing today. You may be able to see the trailhead sign here. I'm going to show you that in detail here in just a moment, and then we'll start hiking. Here's the trailhead sign as I promised. You'll see we rate this somewhat difficult just to discourage beginner hikers from perhaps not doing this the first time out. It is a 4¼ mile trail one way, and we remind them that they have to get back. So some people have gotten themselves in trouble because they planned on a 4¼ mile hike and didn't realize it was 7 back to their car. You'll also see that we recommend appropriate footwear because we're going to be crossing some creeks. There are no bridges on the backcountry trail. So let's hike it. You see, we're going to take backcountry off Lake Loop, and you probably notice that there are many less leaves on the trees because it is late November. I'll tape this during the latter part of November, first part of December. And because there are fewer leaves on the trees, we're going to be able to see much more than we would see during the summertime. We started the trail on what I think was an old logging road 100 years ago. And then we exit that into this more narrow area that we blazed about 3 years ago. It goes through pretty heavy pine forest because you'll see a lot of pine straw and pine trees as we go along. But that wide roadbed to this trail, and this was virgin territory until we claimed part of it for the backcountry trail. So I'll show you as we go along how this traverses and how the various ecosystems change. If you're going to be able to see this or not, I'm going to try. We're going around the end of a very deep draw, as I call them, ravine, gully, whatever term you like to choose. But we tried to go up and down some of them, but they were just too steep. So we extended the trail just a little bit and went around. And it makes for a much easier trek and probably more pleasurable trek. I'm sure you don't remember, but on one of our earlier videos, we talked about a trademark that we have where we pass through 2 trees that are fairly narrow together. And I said the backcountry had a particular purpose for that. And I'm joking when I tell you this, but as you know, TSA has screening tools. Well, this is our backcountry screening tool. If you're fit enough to pass through these 2 trees, we consider you fit enough to do the trail. A few gaps on this trail, and this is the first one. You can see the mountain laurel that we're passing through, some steps we had to create. And this first gap we call Rhodo Gap. And you may ask why. Because we had a naturalist that said, hey, you can't call this rhododendron because these are mountain laurels. Well, we're quite aware that there are mountain laurels scattered around, but we thought rhodo just sounded a little bit better. So that's why we called it Rhodo Gap. Coming up, you'll see the first posted mile marker, or half-mile marker in this case. And you may notice that you did not see a 1/4 mile marker. And that's because we mark the backcountry on half-mile increments using different signage as you see. This is our first creek crossing. You'll see we've installed some 4x4 steps that help us get across a little bit. I see one of them is pretty much submerged. So we'll get across that one. And then we put some steps in to help us get up the slope. This crossing is called Twin Creeks Crossing, and we call it that simply because You will see a second creek here in a moment that flows into the first one. So we cross them both. This one's an easy one. Rock underneath that water. We're coming up on a nice crop of mountain laurel. We intentionally routed the trail over this direction because in April, almost every year, we get beautiful blooms on these mountain laurels. Most of them are white, few pink. Here's our 1 mile marker. We're using a portion of an old abandoned trail, probably about 30 years old, to get us down this hill. And then as you will see in just one moment, it takes off back into what was virgin territory. And here we depart the old for the newer. Coming up on Critter Creek Gap, that's the next creek crossing. There it is, Critter Creek Gap. The reason we named it Critter Creek Gap. We saw a lot of deer crossing down here, so we're going to name it Deer Creek Gap. And then we discovered there were possums, there were raccoons, there were lots of other, quote, critters. So we came up on the name Critter Creek Gap, and it stuck. We cut this trail in the wintertime, so it looked just like this. I'm going to pause here and let you look at this scene, and I will show you a still shot of what it looks like in the spring and summer. We had no idea when we cut the trail that it was going to look like this. This is Troll Glen. I will tell you why we named it that in just a moment, but it's one of the prettier parts on the trail. So I wanted you to see it, and I'm going to try to go very slowly and tiptoe to keep the leaf noise down. Lots of exposed rock, moss, very, very pretty on a bright spring morning or a bright fall morning when the leaves were falling, maybe about a month ago. I discovered this spot about 4 or 5 years ago, and when I found it, I called our then trail boss, who was on staff, and told her she needed to come down and look at it. And when she did, she liked it as well. And she says, you know, if I did not know any better, a troll could come out of one of these rocks any moment. So we named it Troll Glen. Seemed to work. About halfway up the next hill out of Troll Glen is the 1.5 mile marker. See a lot of uprooted trees along the way, but I wanted to show you this one just to give you the size and scale of it. I'll walk over here and put my hiking pole. And then I'll back away, give you a little idea of the root ball. Lots of them like this out here. The actual tree itself caused us a little bit of problems with the trail. And on the back country, there's not real good access back in here, so when you have a tree fall like this, it takes a little bit of effort to haul chainsaws back to clear them off. We are approaching another old road bed. This one is probably another logging road. One of my trail crew buddies said they used to drive cars back here in the 60s. You wouldn't do that today because of the fallen trees, the fences, and the subdivisions. But it's a good marker, and it happens to be very close to the 2-mile point, which means we're getting very close to the halfway point on backcountry. I'll show you that momentarily. We're coming up on the halfway point of the backcountry trail, and I'll tell you how I know that if you promise you won't kill anybody. Just to the left over here, off the trail, is a small sapling you may see with a little pink ribbon on it. That's the 2 1/8 mile point, exactly halfway of backcountry. So we're going to call it a day. This will be part 1 of our backcountry hike. We will finish it on another day. See you then.